Break it down: the moon, earth, and sun. See, when you're dealing with the moon has a frequency that's tapped into the data program system that's on this planet. And what the moon does is the moon is an artificial intelligence data center dealing with what? See, when you deal with the moon, you deal with the past. You upbring the past, and also your Akashic records. Now, if you want to tap into your Akashic records, you have to go at night, tap into the moon to get your Akashic records. Because one thing about the moon, if you look at the theories that's online right now, they say that the moon's hollow. They say that the moon is allegedly hollow. Why is that? Because when you deal with the theory of the moon, all right, when you're dealing with Earth, and they got that theory out there where they say another planet slammed into Earth and it created the moon. Now, anybody with logical sense could understand that that's questionable. That's very questionable. When both planets, when you look at the moon and you look at the Earth, right? If that was to happen, the similarity of the physical aspect of it will be somewhat the same, because they crashed into the same materials that made up the Earth, the same materials that made up the planet that crashed into the Earth, allegedly, to make the moon. Or was the moon placed here? Now, if you look at that theory of the moon being placed here, and you look at the crash theory, being placed here mathematically makes more sense. That's just dealing with the science code. The moon being placed here is more mathematically. It more makes sense. Going back and dealing with the six senses, because the moon makes sense for placement. The Akashic records that can be accessed through the frequency from the moon and help you tap into, if this is not your first journey or your first life in this three-dimensional realm on this planet, or even in the solar system or the galaxy. It might not be your first rodeo. This might be your second, third, fourth, fifth, eighth rodeo. Right? So when you're dealing with the moon, when you tap into the moon can help you tap into your Akashic records, because the moon deals with the past. Everything is 3D. Everything's 3D. So the moon deals with the past. So the Earth deals with the present. And then the sun deals with the future. I'm going to repeat myself. The moon deals with the past. The Earth deals with the present. The sun deals with the future. Even going back to Michael Jackson, when Michael Jackson, see, the thing about Michael Jackson, even though he was a celebrity and he was still, tapped into the enslavement, mind control, but when he was doing the moonwalk, when he was walking on the moon, all that was symbolic. That dance move was a symbolic move of moonwalking, because the thing about the moon can be moved. The moon can be altered, it can be moved, it can shift, and it can defy the theory of gravity. That's what the moon can do. When you look at that old movie, the old Star Trek movie, when they had the planet, which was the Death Star. The Death Star was nothing but smaller form of the moon. Because when you're dealing with these movies, they put everything in your face. The Death Star was actually the moon, because they know the moon can be moved. That's one of the reasons why it's called the moon, because it can be moved. Now, whoever's going to move the moon on a massive scale, dealing with solar system travel, is only going to be ones that's worthy of it to move the moon, because the moon can be moved. The moon was placed here for past data and also to restore your Akashic records in your mind, dealing with the neurotransmitters and dealing with the frequency that you can tap into, dealing with the moon. A lot of people really don't know the power of the moon as far as what the moon was placed here for. The moon was placed here for the past, so you can tap into your Akashic records to bring up forth something that was in the past that actually might be futuristic. That's why the moon's there. It deals with the energy that deals with the past. Breaking down the earth is the present frequency, because as we're living on this rock, and you're living on the rock, and you're on the rock, and you're dealing with day-to-day things, day-to-day situations, that's the present. That's why the earth deals with the present. You know, you might have to go to work, you might have to do something with your business, you might try to bring forth something next, dealing with the present. So that's why the earth represents the present. It represents the earth. And you deal with the word present because some people say that life is a present. Life is a present. Earth represents the present because that's the state that we live in. We live in the present state. But you can tap in to what's backwards, or you can tap into what's forward. You could tap into both. Now, the only significant tap into the moon will be your Akashic records. Tapping into that frequency, tapping into that data and that information that's being recorded. The earth deals with the present time, dealing with your bills, your job, such and such. Moving forward into the future when you're dealing with the sun, the solar rays, right? The corona. You're dealing with that, then that's futuristic, because everything that comes out the sun is going to be futuristic intel that you can receive. So everything plays hand in hand and goes together in one accord. The moon, the earth, and the sun. Because the moon, how can the moon be formed from a planet collision? But both planets, if you look at the moon, you look at the earth, they should be similar. If the same elements that was used after the collision formed the planet and then reformed the planet and then formed the moon, they should have a similar balance. The sun deals with the raw frequency. Raw frequency. See, that's where you get radio. That's where you get radiation. Anything that deals with the RA, the raw, that's the frequency that's being tapped into to alter and shift on a higher level or a lower level, or a higher frequency and a lower frequency. Dealing with the corona, the sun. The sun controls the whole solar system, dealing with magnetism, plasma, electrodes, electrons, fusion. That's what the sun deals with. It controls the whole solar system. So when you're dealing with the Kuiper belt, with the asteroids, and you're dealing with these planets that's in the outskirts of the solar system, allegedly, that nobody knows about, that's power dealing with the sun. So the sun is a futuristic source, because the sun is going to alter and move these planets to a certain position where they need to be at a certain time. But it might not do it today, but it might do it tomorrow. What is that? That's the future. The sun deals with the future. The moon deals with the past. The earth deals with the present. Tapping into all three frequencies will push your DNA to a point where it can be activated, and also seeing this world and seeing this reality in this three-dimensional realm shift faster and quicker on the upside of everything moving forward, going green, and also going to electricity on an organic level. And then when you look at these documentaries about the moon, there's a lot of theories out here where they're talking about the moon's hollow, and there's unmanned space centers in there. Now, if you think if that is really true, and it is hollow, and there's unmanned centers there that can be manned, then why can't anybody just go there and man the moon? Because the moon's been placed there. Everybody's not worthy of going through the solar system as a planetary body. The planetary body is how you're going to move through the solar system, and you're not going to be able to move like that unless you have a firm body that's a futuristic mind frame. Dealing with the Death Star. What was that? What was the Death Star? Was that Star Wars? I think that was Star Wars when they were dealing with the Death Star. The moving planet. The moving planet. See, because Earth, when you're dealing with Nibiru and you're dealing with Earth's Nibiru is the moon. Who's worthy to be on the moon to move forward to the solar system? Because everything going back to the DNA activation, because if that is true, where there's unmanned bunkers in the moon that's highly advanced, highly sophisticated, you know how you're going to be able to activate that? You know, the only way you're going to be able to activate it is through your DNA. Your DNA, your junk DNA, has to be activated in order for you to be worthy to move the moon, to move through the solar system, to move when the sun gets to a certain point and it gets hotter and it starts to grow and get bigger. Then you're going to have to move in a planetary system through the solar system in order and go through the stepping stones to open up the plasma portals, because everybody's not worthy of going through a plasma portal. That's why when you look at an atom, and you look at all the electricity that's around the atom, and it's moving, you know, faster than the speed of light. Atoms moving, right? It's the same thing with the moon, because the moon can be moved. Only the ones that's on the planet that's going to be worthy to move the moon is going to be the New World Order. Now, when I say new, I'm talking about NU. I'm not talking about NEW. That's what the term, when they say the new world, it's coming, and can nobody do shit about it. Dealing with the balance of the moon, earth, and sun. It's a balance, because everybody knows this is a 3D reality, a 3D realm. So you have to have three to balance it out on a massive scale, something that is massive, that proves a point into the futuristic mind extension. That's why when you're dealing with the moon frequency and tapping into the Akashic records and seeing how some of your past life experiences will pop into your mind, dealing with the moon frequency. That's how you get that. You get that from the moon energy. Tapping into that past frequency. That's the only thing you need to be going into the past about, to seeing if you can tap into your Akashic records, because everything in this three-dimensional reality of what's going on right now, dealing with politics, dealing with religion, dealing with social media, it doesn't mean nothing, especially if you can't tap into your Akashic records. And dealing with the earth is the present state and present form. The sun is the future. The rock, the corona, the coronavirus. And the moon also is not the only celestial rock that's orbiting these planets that plays a factor into the future. There's multiple moons that was placed there and formed for a reason. Some of them were formed, some of them were placed. I'm going to repeat myself. Some of them were formed, some of them were placed in the solar system for a reason, because the ones that's in the future, this already had played out. Everything that you're seeing around you and everything that you can see through your retina, your eyes, your scanning system has already played out into the future. What does the moon manipulate on this planet? It's the weather and the water, the oceans. It manipulates the weather on the planet, the water, the oceans. It also helps manipulate the dark matter, which is the dark energy. Dark energy is the biggest energy that's within this universe. If you go look it up and you deal with the void, the biggest thing in this universe is a void. There's not a lot of solar systems inside a void. It's limited. For that void to be there, it's for a reason. Everything is for a reason. So when you look up the biggest thing in the universe on Google, it's going to tell you it's a void. The dark energy, the dark matter. Without dark matter, you will see no light. Without dark matter, you will see no brightness. Without dark matter and dark energy, this whole universe will be nothing. It will just be a void. Also, when you're dealing with time travel, the time travel is, this is the thing about time travel, right? When you're dealing with time travel, the only way you can time travel on a physical aspect is through a portal. It's the only way you can time travel is through a portal. A portal has to be manipulated in the system. The galactical code system is already in place for certain people not to go through portals. That's how you do time travel. Because when you're dealing with 8 billion people on this planet, allegedly, there might be some people on this planet that's from the future and you don't even know it. And you walk right past them. Or you see a post or you see some stuff on the internet that you can't fathom because that person might be from the future. Breaking down the past, present, and future. The moon's Akashic records. Data entry. Information enhancement. Futuristic intel. Plasma fusion. Being connected to the right frequencies to move this present planet forward into the future. So when you're sun gazing, you're in the sun, when you're sun gazing, this is what you want to do. You want to focus on the future. When you're sun gazing, you focus on the future. Then this intel, man, ain't nobody on this planet even coming with this intel. Nobody. I'm telling you what this shit is. The sun. When you do your sun gazing, you want to focus on the future of your mental agenda, right? And seeing where your family and your community can go into the future. That's when you do sun gazing, is the future. Right? And then when you When you're outside at night and you're messing with the moon, when you're dealing with the moon, dealing with the past, then you're trying to go back in the past to your Akashic records to bring up past lives, because sometimes some people just got to this three-dimensional realm. This is their first go around. And you got some people that have been here 3 times, you got some people that have been here 4 times, 5 times, whatever. But see, when you focus on the moon and you're focusing on your Akashic records and you're going in the past because you're trying to pull up to see the stuff that's not in the history or that's not in the library, you're trying to pull that up on a mental level and tapping in to your Akashic records so you can see your past lives in this three-dimensional realm. Then also using common sense. When you use common sense and you go on Google, Siri, and Alexa and you use common sense, you have to always have in the forefront of your forehead that some of the stuff that they're telling you that's dealing with this solar system is not all the way accurate, because they're always going to leave stuff out. They're not going to tell the regulars, the regular majority of people, the whole 100% truth or the whole 100% reality of what's going on in the solar system. So you got to always keep that in the back of your mind, because there could be more planets out in the solar system. There could be more moons that play a factor into moving into the future, that play a bigger factor to the point that it's not going to be put in the forefront. And when you're dealing with the sun, you're dealing with solar energy. Solar energy always have brought forth life, dealing with the combination of the H2O on this planet, dealing with the water, the combination of both, and the oxygen and the elements to form life on this planet. So that's why the sun's futuristic, because it always spits out new life. Now, where you're going to be in this this age of altering and shifting the minds of the ones that are worthy of it, you're going to see an alter and a shift. Even you're going to see it in insects. You're going to see it in animals. You're already seeing it in people. You're already seeing it. Because when I drop this intel on this planet, this stuff comes from the soul. It comes from the sun. It also comes from the universe, bouncing off Saturn, because Saturn is an organic satellite. A lot of people talking about Saturn and Satan, Saturn's this, Saturn's that, but Saturn is an organic satellite. All those rings and all that metal that's in those rings, all that metal and elements that's in the rings play a factor to shooting intel and shooting something next into this atmosphere, which is Earth, which is into the present realm, but it's coming from the future. Because the strongest energy in this universe is always going to be dark matter, dark energy. Why do I say that? Because it covers majority of this universe. So that's the video. I broke down the intel that's coming through the cosmos, coming through the universal galactical code system, which is the moon being the past, the planet being the present, the sun being the future, because the sun's always going to be the future, because the sun is always going to alter this solar system and bring forth something that's going to be next into the solar system. So that's why it has the future energy to it. The moon has the past energy to it, tapping into your Akashic records. And also, if you want to go outside and you want to do moon gazing, this and that, you're focusing on the past when you do that. You're focusing on the past. So the only thing you need to focus on when you're dealing with the past is the Akashic records and pulling those up and seeing what your last lives were like. And then you have the earth, which is the present form, what you're dealing with day-to-day things, dealing with bills, dealing with people, dealing with situations, dealing with governments, and dealing with your mind trying to be altered and shift to a point of no extension. So yeah, it's the moon the past, earth the present, sun the future. It's the activated new bright 10, the Futurtarian. If you like the way the world is, don't like, don't share, don't subscribe. But if you want it to alter, you know what to do.